So good morning. Some of you already know me, so good to see you again. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm the product manager in HCL for the workload automation portfolio. As you know, the product is in an IP partnership with IBM. So here we are all together. And in this first presentation, I will give you some recap of what we delivered lately. You know that we are delivering a lot of new features pretty fast, and so I want to keep you up to date. I want to refresh our strategy, which is still basically the same as we spoke in May, but I'll give you a few updates. And then on the roadmap for the next deliveries. As you know, the latest version of the product is 10.2, was delivered at the end of July. And since then, we are going to have periodic deliveries with this continuous delivery process. Basically, we have a new release, or actually a new modification release. So it's going to be still 10.2 with the third digit giving the new version. So it's this one will be 10.2.1, will be delivered at the end of November. So we deliver new features and APRs. So it's not so different from what we used to do with fixbacks, but now we are in continuous delivery. So we call them modification levels, new releases. But we have 3 for each year, basically. So we have precise, more or less, dates. So end of March, end of July, end of November. This will be always the periods in the year where we deliver new releases. Just one point as a preliminary. I know we will be discussing this in many sessions. Installing a new modification release is not really different from installing a fixback. It's basically exactly the same. So although it's a new release, it doesn't change much in comparison to the past. And we get to deliver APRs and fixes, especially for security, more often. So that's one point. Okay, so let's now talk a little bit about the automation strategy overall that we are delivering together with IBM. A few words on what we observe on the market as automation trends and as technology trends. Why we are highlighting this? Because I think these are kind of driving our roadmap. So for automation trends, this is something that you can find in analyst reports, and it's a way to analyze the market. All different kinds of workload automation, business process automation, IT automation. So all these kind of orchestration processes, automation orchestration, let's say, are merging to one kind of automation only. So you will see also, if you look at what our competitors show on their websites, their marketing, everybody is now talking about process orchestration. So workload automation is getting like an old-fashioned terminology. Then this doesn't mean that we have changed our solid base of features. So it's just an expansion. And it's so we still do what we used to do in the last decades, still job scheduling, batch scheduling, event-driven automation, but especially through the integrations that we provide on the Automation Hub, we can orchestrate many more applications. So you will see that as a trend, an important trend. We are becoming more in general a process orchestrator, and that could be also something you want to consider for the future. When you, in your organization, you can manage many more processes with workload automation than just job scheduling. So this is an important trend. From the technology point of view, obviously the cloud journey. So you will see more and more integrations that allow you to manage workloads in the cloud. So cloud services, cloud native services. And also, already we can deliver workload automation. We can deploy it on cloud native environments, because there is the containerized version of the product with all the main components, the dynamic workload console, the server, and the agents are all available on container. AI-driven automation, and this is another very important trend. How AI can improve let's say, can enhance our workload automation product. We have, we have already a few features that are based on AI. I will talk about that also in the next slides. In general, we are using AI currently to enhance the operational experience of the product. While I can see in a much more long-term view the possibility to drive the orchestration through AI. So that's something that maybe in the future will arrive. So without really have a deterministic approach to orchestration, but that's still a long-term view in my opinion. Self-service automation is another important trend. We have enhanced our self-service capabilities with the self-service catalog and the approval flows. So you will see about that in our presentation. But it's also important to think about the fact that more and more the application developers, we call them in this way in our as product personas, are going to access the product to define their own orchestration. So this is a trend. We used to have this persona, and I think this still exists in many customers, that we called the scheduler. So there was someone asking for orchestration requirements, automation requirements, and someone implementing that, defining job streams.
Or saying no.
Excuse me? Or saying no.
Yes.
So now it's more like having the application developers defining their own job streams, their own automation, and perhaps having the scheduling team verifying and approving those flows, because those are following the best practice of the organization. So it's important to provide interfaces that can allow this kind of flows. And automation as code, I call it to diversify from BFC, but it's the same kind of, they call it job as code. Mm-hmm. It's the way still application developers can define their schedules through APIs and interfaces, and then manage our definitions in their DevOps flows. And this is also something we are addressing in our roadmap. I mean, there are already ways to do it. We are enhancing these capabilities in the roadmap. Observability, another very important technology trend. And this used to be in the past performance monitoring in general. Now these products, let's say legacy products, have been replaced by these observability tools, and workload automation is able to interoperate with all these tools because we have provided two of the three main metrics already. We provide data from workload automation in a standard format, so that basically all observability tools, including the IBM Instana, for which we delivered also predefined dashboards. So all the observability tools can monitor basically the data that we provide, can ingest the data that we provide, and you can build dashboards and so on based on the workload automation data. And it's not only the data, the alerts, data from internal processing, but it's also data from the execution of the jobs. So that is something that you can correlate with other information that you are monitoring in your environment. So that's pretty powerful. And we have the third metric in plan for our next release in March.
Can I ask a question? Like, how many people? There's 5 technology trends here. Are you taking advantage of some, all, none of these yet? Like,
there's a couple we're looking at: cloud and self-service. We're starting to look at a little bit.
Okay, so you're starting to look at it. What about the folks on the phone? Put your hand up or share if you're taking advantage of any of these trends.
Yeah, hi, it's Nigel. I can say quite, we're struggling just to keep up with the actual release levels of AWS. So the journey for me right now is get to a serviceable, a point in time where our AWS systems are stable and are a good value in service with support. And the technology trends after that will have to come after, but possibly for me, it might be self-service automation too. Right now, we're too early for cloud, so that's where we are in my company.
Okay, great.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, no, good to know. And we're going to talk about some of these in the use cases later on this afternoon. Just poke around on different use cases and talking about these trends and how people are using them or not using them and why not and how to take advantage. So sorry to interrupt, Marco.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's recap our offering. Hasn't changed much from the last time. We still have this tagline: automate more, automate better. It's our way to emphasize the possibility to orchestrate more and more scenarios. So we have our 3 pillars. The automation hub has become very important. We have reached 100 integrations, as you will see in one of the next slides. This is very central in our strategy to allow our customers to have it's a very used terminology at this time, a no-code, low-code approach to orchestrating this application. And why I say low-code, no-code? Because instead of writing scripts to start an application, to execute it, you can define a job through our user interface and just provide the parameters that are needed. But then you don't have to maintain a script. It's all stored in a database. You can modify it whenever you like, but it's not writing code. So it eliminates the need for maintaining a library of scripts. Then we have our dynamic workload console, where we are providing a single point of control for your orchestration of our business views. And consider that we have been basically rewriting it. So in 10.1, we completely reworked the modeling part. So you have the new workload designer. With 10.2, we reworked the monitoring part. And we are still doing that in the modification releases because the first the very first GA version of the new monitoring is still missing a few functionalities that will be delivered in the next modification releases. So it's a brand new technology, and also hopefully a much more easy to use interface. While the prediction has been announced, especially with this new component that is the AI data advisor that detects anomalies in the execution of the workload, and that's been delivered in 10.1. So we are still, with our containerized version of the product, we can basically run on any Kubernetes platform. We are certified for Red Hat OpenShift, Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon. Was there any question? No? Okay. For these ones, we are certified, and for this I mean that we did test them in our environment, but because of how the Kubernetes platform works, we are supposed to run on any Kubernetes platform, even if we didn't test it, because the Kubernetes is isolated from the operating system. Again, in 2023, there has been a new EMA report delivered, and IBM Workload Automation has been nominated as a value leader product, so we are still one of the most important solutions on the market. Any questions? So this is just a basic recap of our strategy. We can orchestrate any kind of process, both calendar-based, event-driven. You will see that we are enhancing also the event-driven with new plugins that allow you to monitor more events and provide more actions. You can try to concentrate the orchestration in our tool, and in this way avoid islands of automation. In this case, we always remind that it's important for customers to have some kind of unified approach to the automation of the tasks. And this because once you get used to one interface, to use our auditing data, to go through our security, then you can have the same approach for all your automation, or a big part of it. And that's an advantage, unification under one single orchestration tool. We are going to leverage more and more AI to enhance the automation experience. Self-service automation, I already mentioned that. And another important part, that wherever you deploy our product, you can orchestrate any kind of jobs, basically. They can run on-premise, they can run on the cloud, they can be Kubernetes applications. So we are really capable to manage an hybrid environment. And that is also very important why you go through your cloud journey. You can be at a different level of this cloud journey. Many of our customers, I think, are still not so advanced in this cloud journey, and that's okay. I mean, it's not something that we force you to do, but we can help you to go through this, because while you're moving some part of your applications to the cloud, maybe replacing your legacy applications with new cloud native services, you can still orchestrate everything from our product. So we can be a kind of bridge from the legacy systems to the new cloud native systems.
It's good to know that the capability is there. So how you're using IWS today versus how you could potentially use it in the future, the capability is all there. So that when people come and talk to you within your business to say, how do we do this? You know that it's there if needed.
Yeah, I think it always takes a few years before when we introduce new technology, it's really used by the customers. But that's good because in the meantime, the new technology is mature. So, for example, when we started delivering the first plugins many years ago, almost nobody was using them. Now it's an important part of our strategy, and we get a lot of requirements on them.
I actually think the plugins are like your first source of, if you want to do an integration with the third party, you should go to the automation hub and see if there's plugins there to help you right away, right? Because, you know, as opposed to writing these scripts and items yourself and then learning about the plugins, it should be kind of your first, you know, place to look and see if they're there.
Yeah.
And everybody's using them, I hope, the automation hub.
We're using some.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
He raised his hand.
Yeah, it's nice. I had a quick question. You mentioned just then IBM can help you with the probably looking to go from on-premise to on cloud. Is that a cost for the users, or is that something that you're asking or you're offering as a service?
There's certainly.
I meant the technology. I'm not sure if you're meaning, you know, actual people helping you to do that. What?
I think it seems to, from my standpoint, it seems quite a giant leap to go from on-premise from a financial organization to the cloud from a core system like AWS. So it will take me many months, if not years, to even consider going to the cloud. And that's something that's probably maybe reflecting from, I don't know, people in the room, I'm not so sure.
But from running IWS on the cloud, depending on how you do it, I think what's different is because you have a different infrastructure underneath. That's the challenge, which isn't necessarily an IWS issue. It's more understanding the cloud that you're running on and being able to manage that. Is that what you're seeing? Yeah. So the technology is very similar. So if you are moving to the cloud as an enterprise and understanding the infrastructure you're on, then IWS would be a natural fit to move over. And it's still, you know, what you're used to, defining your jobs and your job streams and all of that. So
yeah, I can give you an example of one customer that I will not nominate, but they asked us. So we are moving everything to Azure on Kubernetes. So we want to move our applications. Some of them we cannot move them because they do not support. They cannot run on Kubernetes platform. So we replace them. Can your we like workload automation. Can you run on Kubernetes Azure? And I said yes. You can deploy your product, so they can keep it. But it's also so in this case they are moving. It's an organization strategy. They're moving all their infrastructure to cloud Kubernetes on Azure in particular, and we are part of this this transformation. But I was also referring to the fact that if you are moving gradually some of your applications from on-premise to the cloud, you can still orchestrate them, execute them from our product, independently from where you deploy the product. The product can stay on premises until you like it. And then when you want to move it, you can move it to the cloud, but still you can manage workloads running everywhere. So I'm referring to the technology. But of course, if you have needs for services, IBM can provide, HCL can provide, you can just contact us.
Thanks, it's just the information around how you'd strategize, how would, you know, where is this in the manuals? Is it, or is it, have I missed it within the manuals, the current manuals of how to migrate from premise into the cloud? You know, where is that standard information documentation discovered?
Okay, so you say that you would need more information on how to do that transformation with workload automation in particular?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, we're a £40 billion, £60 billion company, and we use IWS as our core systems. We wouldn't look at this lightly. We'd have to find and educate ourselves in the complex or the differences between running from premise into cloud. That was what I was suggesting. Yeah. So where's the information that would lead me to down that? Where's the beginner's guide to start from? That kind of thing.
Okay, we can try to find what we already have. Maybe some articles, some blogs that suggest how to to move workload automation from on-premises to the cloud, and then we'll provide you something.
That's what I think. I think what I want to just maybe we'll work offline to understand your use case, whether it's the infrastructure, like moving the engine, or moving services, like your jobs or job streams, or where you execute. So we can get with you offline and understand that better, and then try to address your
yeah, we can set up a meeting and we can talk about it.
Yep.
Thank you.
So this is our automation hub strategy. We have reached more than 100 integrations, and we have many more in plan. Actually, we have some difficulties to keep up with the requirements because there are a lot of new requests. When customers start to use this integration, probably I would say, especially new customers that don't come from don't have already a library of scripts, they liked this approach because they don't have to write scripts. So then they ask for plugins for everything. So it's a long way, but I'm not sure if we'll mention that later. But in the meantime, I will tell you anyway. Our RESTful plugin has been announced a lot. So what is the RESTful plugin? It's a kind of a generic integrator, let's say, because you can use it to invoke any kind of REST APIs. Nowadays, most of the applications provide REST APIs. So even though there is no specific integration for an application that you want to orchestrate, but you can use the generic REST API plugin because it used to be a little, not so easy to use because originally in its first version, it was providing just the possibility to submit a REST API. Then you needed to define another job to monitor it, and it was a little cumbersome. Right now, we have introduced the possibility in the latest version of the RESTful plugin to do everything in one job. So it's basically like a generic plugin for any integration. It can be used really in a very simple way because you just code the REST API and that's it. So, but we have many different integrations for applications in many different automation domains. So we talk about file transfer, relational databases. So we have a number of these integrations. We have what is called service-oriented architecture. These are kind of more traditional plugins. But we introduced, for example, JSON-ATA. JSON-ATA is another important plugin because it allows you to manipulate data in JSON format. So to create a bridge where you manipulate output data from a job and provide it as an input to the next job. So rather than having your own script doing operations, transformation of data, you can use the JSON-ATA plugin. Define a job, yes, a job in the middle, but it's coded in our interface. It's not your own script. ERP tools like SAP, Oracle e-Business, and more. IT service management is something where we just added Jira and ServiceNow, we will have a dedicated presentation on that. So that's important to have approval flows, to implement approval flows. RPA. I don't think anybody here is using RPA integrations with our product, but we are able to orchestrate RPA bots. We just added IBM RPA to our list. Cloud services, this is one of the most widely used. Once customers start to use, to implement scenarios where they need to call cloud services, perhaps they have job streams or workflows, whatever you want to call them, that need to invoke some cloud services, but then do some processing also, including some on-premises applications. So that's the perfect fit for our work to do, because we can manage them in the same job stream. So you can have dependencies, move data from on-premises to cloud for processing and then come back. You can build very interesting workflows using our cloud services integrations.
That would be a good starting point for customers who want to start using cloud, is if you have cloud in your enterprise and you want to start using some of the services on it, you can integrate it with your on-premise workload automation, just call the cloud service. And that's your starting point until you start moving more and more over there. Just a thought.
Some more big data integrations. And also for cloud and data center automation is different from cloud services, because here we are talking about the deployment of virtual machines, of environment. So it's more cloud orchestration in the IT sense of point of view. Any questions? So now I'm starting a recap of the latest features. I finally removed the slides on 9.5. At this point, I start from 10.1, and about 9.5, we're going to have a discussion on when it should be set end of support. We have not announced it yet, so we will not announce it before March 2024, and so we are still discussing. So sure, it's not going to happen before spring of 2025.
Until Nige.
Okay.
We can talk about this in the next
so you
session.
have time, but you should start moving out of 9.5. And the big jump was between 9.4 and 9.5. From 9.5 to 10.1, it's not a big deal. It's like upgrading with a fixed-back. There are no changes in the infrastructure. Some different look and feel on the UI, as we always do, but not changes in the infrastructure. So it's not as heavy as moving from 9.4 to 9.5.
That includes set as well.
Excuse me?
That's on both set and distributed as well.
Yeah.
The ease of upgrading.
Yes. Yes. Also on Z 10.1 is not really different from 9.5. It's very straightforward upgrade.
So will they both be done at the same time, 9.5 on Z and D?
The end of service?
I'm not sure about that, but probably yes. Okay. Also because we are not, that we gave up on some releases on Z in the past, on version 9, version 8. We skipped some Z releases, but we are not skipping on 10.2. We are planning to have a 10.2 release on Z at the end of 2024, as you will see when I get to the roadmap slide. So there will be a 10.2 also on Z.
They will be backward compatible. So, for example, if we upgraded our D site to version 10, Z site was at 9.5, that would be
So you mean if you can upgrade directly from 9.5 to 10.2? Yes.
No. So if we upgraded our distributed side to version
Oh, okay.
and then left that Z side at 9.5,
Yeah.
it would be backward compatible for things like shadows and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What does 10.1 give you that 9.5 doesn't? Obviously, apart from any major enhancements. that 10.1 will give you.
So what is the difference between 9.5 and 10.1 on Z?
What? Yeah, in terms of enhancements.
Basically, the features that you see here, they have been developed both for distributed and Z. So these are all the new main feature. Now I'm with 2-3 slides. I will talk about what we delivered. The main feature we delivered with 10.1, and most of them are in common for the and distributed, so they were implemented for both. And I will also highlight what is just specific for the distributed solution. So as you can see, we had 3 main areas, 3 main themes for our 10.1 release. One was enhancing the operational experience. Another part is related to the data transfers. And then we renewed the modeling part of the web user interface, so of the dynamic workload console. And these 3 features are available both for distributed and Z. So what I'm talking about, let me go into detail. Enhancing operational experience with AI and machine learning. We delivered this new component that is called AI Data Advisor. It's a kind of distributed component, but it works also for IZWS. And it's deployed on container. It's available on container. And it's a component that based on big data, machine learning, and analytics technologies, analyzes the KPIs of the workload execution of the product provided from both engines, so either IZWS or IEWS. And through machine learning, learns your execution cycles. And after some learning, it is able to identify when there is an anomaly in the execution of the today's workload. So when what is running, it can tell if there are many more jobs than usual in waiting, or in error, or in some different state. So it can alert you with information that something is going different from the usual execution of the workload. And you can use that information, that alert, to launch the UI with historical data analysis for jobs and workstations, and take a look at what's going on. Perhaps that day you have a special workload for any reason. Maybe it's a special market day or something like that. But if not, you can try to analyze where the problem is, if there is a real problem, and then you can switch back from this UI that is launched from the dynamic workload console and the dynamic workload console to perform analysis of what's going on. So this is a way to help operators that work with the product to identify an anomaly in advance. So to be alerted that there is something that should be verified. So this is for both distributed and Z. Then the file transfer. As you have seen before, we provide file transfer integrations, so you can execute some of your file transfer tasks with some tools directly from our integration. For example, Sterling Connect or others, or Axway, I think. But you can also use our own dynamic or Z-centric agents to move files internally in your environment. So we provided this kind of agent-to-agent protocol. And you can, when you define a job type file transfer, you can select the agent-to-agent protocol and decide to move files from one workstation to another. And that it's an out-of-the-box feature, so you don't need necessarily to, to have a file transfer tool in your internal environment. We do not support for now external gateways, but that's also in our radar for the future. So this is out-of-the-box file transfer capability that is implementing most of the usual file transfer features. So it has a dashboard filtered for file transfer jobs. You can have defined in one job multiple file transfers in parallel. You can run any of them either from the beginning or from the point of failure. This is a classic feature. You can use wildcards and regular expressions to define post-processing actions. You can use other plugins that we provide to encrypt and decrypt the files before, or after the process, the file transfer processing. The communication occurs through HTTP secure protocol, so it's always encrypted. And you can also use that from into the system. So this is available both also for distributed NZ, because you can use either dynamic or decentric agents. The new workload designer here, I mean, we had demos many times, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I think the look and feel of the new modeling is quite better than in the past. We have improved the search functionality. We have hierarchical views based on folders, even though I think that not many of you are still using the folders.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know.
Can we use the 10.1 with our 9.5 masters? So the 10.1 DWC with 9.5 masters.
Okay, if you use, you can use, I think certainly 10.1 DWC with 9.5 server, but you cannot use the new workload designer because it requires changes on the engine side.
Right.
So you can use it, but you will have you would have the old workload design. Sorry. Yeah, that should be normally one reason.
Still it is with 9.5 at the moment. Yeah.
Can you create a report from that design? Produce a report that you can give to somebody with all the job strings and the job done next to clear report.
Okay, I think you can do that from the workload designer right now. You mean reports on the changes that have been done on the
look at your environment, see all the job strings and every job so you can compare 4 and 3.
Okay. No, I don't think so, but this is something we can consider. Okay. And this is a good suggestion. And also the editing of the objects has been enhanced. You have just one panel where you can scroll and see all the attributes all together.
If I could ask, if anybody's asking a question, it's just the speakers are in the room, so you really need to speak up for the people on the WebEx. So just if you can use your loudest voice when asking a question, thank you.
Do we need to repeat that?
It was a question on reporting.
You
answered 9, just so you know. So I think you got the answer, but hopefully you got that.
Yeah, that's.
So we just need to, if you speak up, it means Marco doesn't need to repeat the question. It seems that with the 20 people on the WebEx, it's a constant problem for them. They can't hear unless we're really loud. You can tell Nige comes through, he overtalks because he thinks we're all talking quietly. Thanks.
Another feature that has come after 10.1 with a fixed spec for the UI and also for the engine, and it's supported also on is the new self-service catalog. I'm not sure if any of you have been using in the past the self-service catalog. Okay, so you can look at this as a new feature, let's say. So what is it? It's a specific new UI that is designed for, let's say, business users. So it's not designed for people that are experts with workload automation. So what you can do basically is when you define a job stream, you can flag it as a service. And when you do that, you can define the service name. You can define some variables that can be provided when the job stream is submitted that can be used for variable substitution. And you can define tags that will be used on this new UI to query your services, okay? So at this point, this job stream that is flagged as a service will be available on the subservice catalog UI. And a user that is authorized to do that, obviously there are the usual security as any other feature on the dynamic workload console, can just submit, eventually provide parameters if needed, but submit and track the service, looking at the service as a name. They don't need to understand all the logic that's behind. They just see a process that they want to execute. And so it's an interface that a business user can use much more easily. And it's available both from the browser, but also on mobile. So it's designed for self-service for business users that want to run some services that have been implemented by the schedulers. So they are exposed as services, and any user that is authorized can log in, submit the service, track it for success, and that's it. Then you will see later that we have introduced, I'm not spoiling the next presentation, but we have introduced the possibility to include in this an approval flow. So basically, you will see how this submission can be inserted in a process where it gets approval before execute. Okay. So let's now talk of the latest new 10.2. Basically, we, as I mentioned before, we have been working again on the dynamic workload console to announce now the monitoring part. So we have new monitoring views, revamped with the tree view. We have also provided an updated version of the AI data advisor that I just mentioned for 10.1, announced with new technology inserted for the machine learning. We have created more new integrations with ServiceNow and Jira to produce those approval flows that I just mentioned, and we have a dedicated presentation for that. And we have announced the RESTful plugin with new patch method, the possibility to track the job everything in one job, and supporting also their authentication. Now, I want you to reflect a little bit on this. As you can see, these are small features. We have not rewritten the product with 10.2. So basically, if you plan to upgrade to 10.1 fixed pack something, or 10.2.1, or 10.2.2, I know, it's just mostly the same, because with this new continuous delivery process, we have small releases with small changes.
Yeah, I mean, we were led to believe that the 10.1 to 10.2 were database changes.
Database changes, maybe yes.
Yeah.
And not many, but a few. When there is a new release, it's the chance that we have to upgrade the definitions.
So our plans for an upgrade are to go to 10.1, and then 10.2 will be later, and that will probably be in the cloud. But due to it having the database changes needed,
okay,
we're worried about doing it all at once.
So maybe that's an interesting point because I need to report to the development team that maybe we need to highlight when from release to the next in these small cycles there are no database changes because that's making it easier for you. Yeah. Okay. Or documenting.
So
Hi.
customers get the choice.
Hey, Nigel.
Hi, sorry to interrupt. The question from the room, I thought it was a good question about the database, but in every upgrade we do, we always have to upgrade the database first. Because there's generally new tables or anything on there in the different releases. Is it? Are we saying it's a major database upgrade from version 9.5 to version 10, or is it kind of the standard way of the standard upgrade as we normally would do?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Okay, so the question in the room was they were going to go to 10.1 because of to do with the database upgrades that's required. So, but every time we do an upgrade, as it says in the manual, you upgrade the database first because it's got some new stuff in there. So is this a major difference this time from 9.5 to version 10 and 10.1 and 10.2? As in, is there major database differences?
Major, maybe not, because also in 10.1 we didn't change so much the definitions. I mean, there may be a few new fields, but it's not like when we introduced the folders, there was a major rework, but not in 10.1 and certainly not in 10.2. As you can see, we are mostly adding new integrations and working on the UI. So no major changes in the database, but still, even if we change something small, then you need to upgrade the definitions. So I want to report back this to the development team because when we notice that from one modification release to the next, in 3 months, we don't change the database, we need to document that because it's an important relief for customers. So,
I mean, Nigel, our understanding is that 9.5 to 10.1's not a major release, it's more like a fixed pack upgrade.
Yeah.
Whereas 10.1 to 10.2, we've been told by support that there is some database changes, so hence that's why we're going with that strategy that I've talked about earlier.
Okay. Thanks for the clarifying thought. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, this is just something that I can skip because I'm running out of time, almost. So now I want to spend a few words on what is we are working for this year, next year, and also what are the contents of the next modification level coming out at the end of this month. So on the Z side, this is all mixed. So we are announcing, not in this release, but in March, I'm pretty sure, I got the commitment from the development team. The third metric for observability, the traces part. The three metrics are called, the three telemetries, I should say, is called metric, jobs, and logs and traces, right? Sorry. So the metric, the first metric is about internal information logged by the workload automation product. So it includes alerts, it includes information, messages, and various internal information. The logs part is providing in JSON format information about the workload, not around the workload automation infrastructure. The traces part will be about performance. So when this picture is complete, basically you have all the information you may want to get from workload automation in your observability tools. Other integrations, IBM RPA, this is done. It's been just delivered a few months ago. A new plugin to integrate with IBM RPA. Then for Z, you know that IBM has delivered this new JCL verification tool. It's called JCL Expert. Recently, like last year or something like that. So we are introducing an integration, a first level of integration in which when you edit a JCL from the dynamic workload console, because for example you want to rerun the job, the problem and issue, you can edit and then you have a button to send the JCL for verification to this tool, IBM JCL Expert, and get back feedback, so you can verify the JCL before resubmitting it. So this is first level of integration, but there is more coming. And then we have self-service automation. We have already implemented this, so it's already up there. We are planning probably for next release to provide the scheduling objects in JSON format. So you can start to use the JSON standard format rather than our scheduling language when you want to modify the objects and so on. If you get them from with an API or with other interfaces, you can have this text format in JSON, which is easier to manipulate. And also, if you want to store them in a source code management tool and have the DevOps cycles, you can use this JSON format, which is much more for developers, let's say. We are still working on improving the user interface step by step. We are completing now the monitoring part. We want to revamp some of the graphical views and also rework the UI for the SAP integration. Moreover, the integrations that we have a full roadmap on that. Just let me go to the timeline. Coming soon, 10.2.1. I will give you now a few updates on the details of the contents. And SPE on 10.1 for Z, since on Z we don't have a 10.2 yet. And then obviously on the bottom you see the roadmap and continuous delivery also on the automation hub of all the integrations. Then you can see we will have cycles, March 24, July 24, and November 24. So we will have 10.2.2 and then 0.3 and then 0.4. We stay this year on 10.2 for distributed. So no new major release, but still in continuous delivery on top of 10.2. And I think also, so no plans for 10.3 in 2024, 2025 maybe, but that we see. Later we will have the presentation on the continuous delivery, so we will talk about what it means to have maybe decided that a release will last longer than 3 years and so on. The idea actually would be to stay for a while on 10.2 and going on with the modification levels, but at least the outlook for 24 is no 10.3. We stay on 10.2 with the new releases on 10.2. And we will have at the end of the year a 10.2 on Z. I will talk about that also.
So does that mean there's not going to be any more fix packs for 10.1?
Unless, no, that 10.1, there will be, actually, I didn't put it here. There will be a new fix pack, I think, in December this year. I think it's fix pack 4, yeah. Then fix packs on 10.1, yes, because we need to ship papers. But I don't think we will have fix pack on 10.2 because we have, you know, cycles of releases every 4 months. So it's all together, a new release and a fix pack.
What about 9.5?
Marco, it's Nige. I believe IDOS 9.57 fix pack's coming out though, isn't it, in December?
For 9.5?
Yeah.
Perhaps, but I should ask for confirmation. I don't know. I can ask and confirm later.
Marco, how certain of your 10.2 or how complete is 10.2? Because when 10.1 came out, you were missing the run cycle preview. Is there still something missing in 10.2? Is this a complete version by now?
Well, the new monitoring part has some more updates coming because we did not implement all the actions from the monitoring view. So we are delivering that step by step in the next releases. But you can obviously, if
that's for March then probably, or
excuse me,
is that for March then, or
yes, during next year, between March and July, I think we will complete all the actions for the monitoring part.
Yeah, because we're on 9.5 now, and we are thinking about upgrading, but it's just a bit of a, yeah, should we go to 10.1 or 10.2?
If I were you, I would go on 10.2, and obviously, if you consider that if there is something missing, there is always the old version. I mean, if in the monitoring new views there is something that is missing that you need, you can use from the same 10.2 dynamic workload console the old monitoring. So when the feature is not complete, you can still use the old feature in the same UI.
So there's still both in there. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, can I just ask a question? Because
sure.
Obviously we try to keep both our Z and D in sync, but looking at this roadmap, they get totally out of sync and then they sort of come back into sync at the end.
Yeah.
Is that a worry for us? Should we stay on one release where they're both in sync, or is it okay to?
The only point here is that there are no compatibility issues right now. Okay. The reason why we are having so the only thing missing from Z is that the new monitoring is not available for Z. So for Z customers, if you install the 10.2 dynamic workload console, you still need to use the old monitoring. That's there. I mean, it's not removed. And this is because it's missing. We need to add some features on Z, and we will do that with input. So we will reconvene also with the same features on the UI. But it's not that you cannot use the 10.2 dynamic workload console with it.
Yeah, it was just that we've been bitten by that before. So.
Oh, I see. I see. But this one will be a major release for Z. Okay. So you probably can upgrade before to 10.1 if you didn't do that, and then move to 10.2. Yeah. Let me give you, just as a final slide, I'm a little out of time, but just a couple of minutes. What we are delivering right now on in November, at the end of November. So as you can see, small features. We are enhancing the possibility to personalize the product logo and the product name in dynamic workload console and the self-service catalog. This was a requirement from customers who want to, put their own logo name on the dynamic workload console. We are adding some actions on the new monitoring. As I was saying, we are completing the list of actions available on the new monitoring. And also the orchestration command line, the one that is, delivered with the dynamic agents, we are adding capabilities. We are switching the support in security for OpenSSL 3, which brings some more security, some more announcement on the security side. We are removing the GSKit, and so supporting more secure settings, enhancing the level of security, and certificates for TLS 1.3. So a number of maybe not fancy but necessary updates on security.
It's quite a big deal, isn't it, to remove GSKit, because that's been in the product since year dot.
Yeah, I know. But it was a problem of security if we didn't remove it. So with OpenSSL version 3 is no more required.
Is that a removal of GS kit in just the new lightweight agent, or is that going? Is the old fault tolerance agent going because that's dependent on GS kit?
I think it's a full removal, but I need to ask.
The fault tolerance agent uses the GS kit, not the lightweight agent.
No, the dynamic agent doesn't use it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So that must mean that the
FDAs go.
OpenSSL must replace.
Are still there. No worries.
Yeah, must replace GS kit for use with FTAs.
Yeah.
That needs testing.
Okay.
So FTAs will still remain then?
Yes.
Be supported in that version.
Yes. It will not. They will not be delivered with 10.2 on Z.
Okay.
So on Z you cannot use anymore from 10.2 FTAs.
Yeah.
But on distributed we have no plans to remove them.
Right. Okay.
There are still many customers that leverage FTAs, and we have no reason to block them, to force them out of them. I mean, I think it's a kind of little old technology, but if you want to still use it, we will support it.
And for Z, would it be the centric agents?
Yes.
Okay.
There, we had no resistance because using fault-tolerant agents on Z was cumbersome, and these centric agents are much better. So nobody's complaining.
Okay.
More integrations, and on the mainframe, the integration with the HL expert. The first phase on AI-infused scheduling, so some integrations with the system. You know, the new ZOS version of the product is starting to include AI. And we have an interesting project ongoing to integrate the scheduler, IZWS, with the system, so that AI will be used to optimize the workload execution on Z. But that's, you know, us just two and workload manager, so it's a big deal. But the complete picture will be available in 2025. And a workbench, this is something that we can talk about it later if anybody is interested. I want feedback on this. We are creating a new way to develop the user exits using Metal C rather than assembler. So we are providing a kind of workbench. If needed, I can show later pictures, but slides. I mean, you have a full development environment with Metal C, where you can compile, you know, build, and remove the need for assembler skills. Is that of interesting to you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Look at that, but a lot of it's done by a system programmers, the assembly parts of it, but it would be interesting to see.
Okay, great. We can talk more about it. That's it. That's part of development. Most of you probably are already participating, but just in case, you can send an email to transparent.dev@acl.com and you will be contacted for all our meetings.
Yeah, there's one next week, isn't there?
Yes, correct. Any question? Do you like the strategy, the roadmap?
It's going to mean a lot of work.
I know, but the technology is running.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be a 10.2%. I thought it was going 10.1 to 10.3. We're missing out 10.2.
No, we decided to do a 10.2 because we need to introduce, for supporting the new monitoring and overall to improve the access to the controller from the dynamic workload console, we need to do mirroring on Z. So create an image of the plan on the database, so that for all queries, it will go straight to the database and not to the controller. So improving the performance of the controller, supporting more users from dynamic workload console, and also support the new monitoring that need new REST APIs on the internally. So it's a lot of work, but it's going to be a major release on Z.
Okay, great. Should we take 5 to get coffee and stuff, and then carry on?
I was gonna